Hello everyone, welcome back. Our next topic is, as you can see, API, so application programming interfaces, and this video will be just some theory and no code because it's needed. So, what are APIs? APIs, we can say that API are constructs that are available for to allow developers to create complex functionality. The image is comparing the APIs to a socket because actually you are connecting your code to a built-in not built-in to a already built functionality that will provide you more complex features for your code, and that is quite important. Anyway, talking about API from the client side, in client side JavaScript, because there is even the server side JavaScript that can be used through Node, but this is we are doing only client side JavaScript. Anyway, there are two kinds of APIs, the browser API and the third-party API. The browser API, we can compare it to a small layer above JavaScript that is created into the browser, is built into the browser, and to which you can connect um, to make some extraordinary, so to say, features thanks to the browser. The third-party API, they are not built in the browser, but they are created by the big applications, like here is saying Twitter or Pinterest or Facebook or Google Maps or I don't know, to give so if you want to attach their application, a part of their application inside your website, you can. How many times you have seen that they have Google Maps inside a web page for third party, or Facebook inside web page, etc., etc. Okay, so moving on, relationship between JavaScript API and other JavaScript tools. Here it describes 5 different tools. First of all, JavaScript is a high-length scripting language, so that give us high functionality and is available in for client side to create web pages, or in Node you can use it in server side. Browser API are built into the browser and allows you to implement other functionality or functionality more easily. Third party, we said that they are third-party platforms that allows to use this functionality. So we are the third party that we are using their functionality into our web page. Then there are libraries. Libraries is just is a set of files and functions that you can attach to your web page to speed up the process, to write faster the code, because it can allow you to write faster code, to do common functionality that JavaScript will do it differently, or maybe would be more burdensome to do it. Anyway, examples: jQuery. jQuery is was used to manipulate the DOM easier than JavaScript, in a faster way. It's faster to type, but then JavaScript now JavaScript can do everything very well, so is a little outdated, but not at least this part of jQuery, but it is not the point. Then I can say something about React. It's another library that allows us to write code faster, and is called a declarative library because it really, you ask to React what to do, what you want him to do, and then he does it for you, and it creates application much faster, and it creates functionality that I cannot say that JavaScript cannot do it, but maybe it will be much more complicated than much more complicated, or almost impossible. Anyway, frameworks are different. Framework are new technologies that are created, that have, yes, recent technologies. For example, it says Angular, Vue.js, and Ember. They tend to be packages of HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Anyway, it's a whole story. It's another feature. They are different from libraries, etc., etc. Anyway, what API can do? What a common browser API can do? They can fetch data from the server, so they can use the fetch API. The fetch API we have seen, the XML HTTP request API. Then you can also anyway, these techniques we already saw quite extensively. Then we have API for manipulating the DOM, which we will see, but we already saw quite extensively query selector, document get element by ID, etc., etc. These are API, and there are others. Then API for graphics, not really important, but exist. Canvas. Canvas, you can edit images on Canvas. We will see it. And WebGL, which is another functionality about graphic that we might see or might not, but they exist. They are not useless, absolutely. Then audio and video API, they allow us to work with multimedia stuff, audio and video, and text track, etc., etc. Okay, here some common third-party API. Why not? Twitter, Google Maps, MapQuest, I didn't know it exists, Telegram, YouTube, Pinterest, Twilio, which allows us to use SMS and MMS, and that's it. Okay, now here it comes how API work. API are based on objects. What does it mean? That all the APIs uses objects. So you want to use auto context from the audio and the video APIs. Okay, you need you create an object, a new audio context. So they all relate to object or are object themselves, and they have recognizable entry point. What does it mean? That all the API they need to have a simple entry point that can. We said that the API are like sockets, so the holes of the socket are known. For example, to manipulate the DOM, we always rely on the document model. So you want to use document query selector okay, you need to attach it to the document. You want to do document dot body dot append child, same. So in this sense, here same get context, canvas dot get context, etc etc. Last thing to say, they use events to handle change. Some they handle changes. They use not event handlers, but events to inside them, like yes, add event listener, etc. But yes, okay. And the last thing, they have a security mechanism where appropriate. That so to say, okay, they have here it says they have additional security mechanism. What I can say is yes, they have security mechanism because they are insecure in themselves. Because what does it mean? You are actually when you're using an API, you are putting some code into someone else code into your code, no? So they are in themselves, they are insecure. For this reason, they enforce some security. For example, this same origin policy, it's a security mechanism that allows it's complicated. I cannot talk about it. Anyway, it prevents people from injecting their code through this socket into your code, and etc etc. We are not doing security, cyber security, but this is quite important to understand. And for example, one thing that someone would say is to never use an API that is not really huge. No, everybody uses Facebook API. Who doesn't trust it? But if you find an API that is not one of the fifth third-party API that you have seen in that place, maybe you can think two times before implementing it in your page. Last thing, some web APIs request permissions to be enabled from the user calls. Interesting, and actually we see it a lot of times when we surf the internet that you are asked from to receive notification from this site, etc. Okay, so this was the basic introduction I think was needed before we go into the code. Thank you very much for watching. I see you in the next video. Bye bye.